Oh, okay. All right. So we're live. All right, you guys. So yeah, this is actually the first lecture you're watching. At least that's what I'm gonna tell you to watch. I filmed the Mino one before this. If you're in my B12 one, this is. I haven't decided this is the only lecture you're gonna listen to, but intro and ethics living and dying. You're both gonna be watching this lecture. Yeah. So this lecture is gonna have three people. What did I say in the last video? Steven. Did I say Steven? Stevie? Yeah, Stevie, Scotty,
Stevo
and Freddie. It's just Steve and Scott. I was gonna go by fake names, but not. And then Freddie in the back. Freddie with the. Anyway.
All pseudonyms.
Yeah. So you guys are. I'm filming in front of people, so you guys can kind of like feel like you're in the classroom. Yeah. If you're having trouble seeing the board, man, I'm really sorry. That's it. I'm just sorry. All right. I'm gonna try to write big. Let's see if that is what you see. No, it's not. Oh heck no. All right. So usually how I run this is this lecture is usually at least 2 full classes, and we have this conversation the rest of the year, right? We understand in both my ethics of living and dying. Well, actually, in pretty much every philosophy class I teach it around this notion of truth, right? And if you watched, and you should, everyone should have watched this sort of hour-long intro to philosophy, right? When in metaphysics, when we talk about someone being a realist about something metaphysically, it doesn't mean like you're like think of your friend who's always like I don't know, yeah bro, your uncle's probably not gonna make it, and you go, gosh dang man, that was really harsh. He's like, yeah, I'm just being a realist, right? That's not the real. We're not talking about being an asshole, right? When we talk about realism in philosophy, when we talk about being a realist in philosophy, or when we talk about realism in a metaphysical way, we talk about you thinking that this thing has a real existence, right? And in our reading of the text in both classes, we are going to assume this sort of a realist definition of truth. And this definition of truth is going to seem it's going to seem like it trivializes our notion of truth. Like it's going to be like, oh man, but truth is so much more, or this can't just be what truth is about. But take my word for it, and I'm going to kind of argue for it right now. This is, well, it's a historical fact. This is our base notion of truth. This is our most intuitive notion of truth, the one that I'm going to define right now. And it is our most classical and real version of truth that we have. And this definition of truth has been lost as our time periods have gone by, and we're going to explain why, right? I mean, you could kind of argue that our introduction to philosophy class is going to be surveying how this notion of truth has slowly disappeared throughout the years. And there's still a fight over what this definition of truth is, right? And a lot of you guys are going to see why in a second. So to define what truth is, which is going to be necessary for all of us to do, for us to understand our coursework, right? We're going to first need to define a fact. Then we're going to need to define what a proposition is. And then we're going to need to define fact, proposition. Then we're going to define truth. And then all the way down here, I'm drawing a line to separate them, okay? We are going to define belief and opinion, okay? So if you can't see, right, we have facts, propositions, truth, belief and opinion. Okay. And usually this is a lecture that most people drop. When people drop my classes, it's after this lecture. Right. It's after this lecture. But I'm a firm believer. So like this definition, Jesus, choking on cashews. This definition of truth is the basis of all we do in formal logic, or most of what we do in formal logic. It's definitely the base of what we do in classical logic, right? If you want to know more about that, take classical logic or intro to logic. It's how we understand this is-ought problem in ethics, which is what we're going to get to in Ethics, Live and Die, hopefully. And it's necessary for us to believe in scientific realism, not just truth realism, but scientific realism, yeah, which is the epistemological view that science actually gives us knowledge, right? And a lot of you guys at home are like, oh, well, no shit. Well, yeah, get ready, right? Get ready to be given some really good reasons to think that science tells us nothing about the real world, and that you almost need to make this assumption for you to take psychology serious. And that our sciences don't actually get along in methodology whatsoever, right? This is what we're building up to in our intro class. Ethics, Live and Die, and you'll be talking about probably a little more cooler stuff in this. Sorry, intro, yeah. So first we need to define what fact is. Okay, so what's a fact? Not you, Stephen. Not you, Stephen. Scotty.
Something that is.
Oh, hold on, we have.
I got it. All right, how long are you guys gonna be here? 2:20.